Hey, Not So Average Jose here, and I just saw the Power Rangers movie, and so I'm here to review it. So up front, I want to say I grew up watching Power Rangers, and I absolutely loved it. And no, I'm not wearing like a Red Ranger shirt or anything. I'm wearing an Iron Man shirt. But in the original series, the Red Ranger was my favorite. And if you're like me and you watch the original series, I'm pretty sure you're gonna find this movie really fun. So this is a superhero movie based around a group of 5 teenagers who become superheroes. Initially, no one in the group really knows each other. They kind of know of each other, but of course knowing of someone doesn't mean you know them. Billy blows up the side of a small mountain, and everyone that becomes a Power Ranger is kind of nearby. And so they run to check and see what happened, and they see that there are the power coins in the wall, and so they get them out, and the authorities are chasing them, and they kind of group together that way. They all just try to get away from, well, they're not exactly cops, but they're supposed to be like authority there because they're trespassing. Each of the characters that are the Rangers are introduced as really interesting characters. They all face different kind of dilemmas, and they genuinely seem interesting. They're not like in the original show where they kind of lead perfect lives, and so I personally found that really cool because it's much like the later seasons of Power Rangers where stuff actually happened in like their personal lives, where in the original series only so much would happen because it's a kids show. The movie takes a lot of stuff from the original series where it's Jason, Zach, Billy, Kimberly, and Trini. The races are changed, but the colors remain the same to each like corresponding name, which I think is pretty cool. And a lot of people were like, oh, it seems a lot less racist because the Yellow Ranger isn't the Asian person, the Black Ranger isn't the black guy, and so on and so forth. So after finding the coins, they find out they're super strong, they have these weird abilities, and it's kind of like when Spider-Man first turns into Spider-Man. Jason, we didn't see that he wasn't ripped, but when he wakes up, he's like super ripped. He breaks something in the bathroom, kind of Wolverine style in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Sorry I brought that up. So once they go back, they basically find the command center, and they meet Alpha, and they meet Zordon. Zordon played by Bryan Cranston, and Bill Hader plays Alpha 5. Alpha can come across as annoying for some people, and I can completely understand that, but having seen the show and loving Alpha having to always say I, to me that was always funny, and it's still funny whenever like it comes on TV or I come across it on YouTube. It's still funny. It was a little annoying in the Power Rangers movie just because the voice was really weird and different, but I really feel like the choices for Zordon and Alpha 5 were spot on. So Zordon and Alpha tell the team that, hey, Rita, the villain of the movie, is going to attack the town in 11 days. You need to train and become the Power Rangers, which is like cool. So we end up seeing a couple fight sequences, and they struggle to become the Power Rangers because they don't know each other yet. The big climax of the movie, of course, is the big climax of any Power Rangers episode, which is the big mech kaiju fight. And it's definitely not on the scale of Pacific Rim because, first of all, I believe they didn't even have that kind of money. They definitely didn't have that kind of director, but it's reminiscent of it, and I think it came across pretty cool. There were definitely moments where the CG just kind of, okay, but for the most part, it looked great. It definitely looked better than the stuff from 1995, where it was super duper reflective, and it just, yeah, no. And when they summon the Zords, they actually play the Go Go Power Rangers. I was like I wanted to just freak out. I didn't expect them to actually play the original song, like the original song by the original band. Like it's the original song. So I thought that was really cool. I really think that the best part of the movie, I have to say, is the actors who played the Rangers. They actually had really great chemistry, and throughout the movie you see them go from a group of outcasts that don't know each other, don't trust each other, to friends that can depend on each other and fully trust each other. The thing is, they're actually interesting without the suits too. It's not just like, oh, you're gonna see them fight the whole time. Like, they actually are compelling characters. Rita Repulsa, the villain I mentioned earlier, is played by Elizabeth Banks, and I actually didn't really like her performance. There were parts where I thought, hey, that's cool, they're kind of going with a horror movie kind of thing, and then out of nowhere it's just like kind of silly. I get it's supposed to be threatening, but don't undercut like the performances of the other actors like the Rangers with something like, oh, I want gold. Like that just comes across as funny, and especially when you're supposed to take the threat seriously. So in my opinion, it didn't work, and she was just evil for the sake of being evil. She had no real motivation to be a villain, in my opinion. So that part wasn't as interesting. There is an interesting part as to why, like, how she has powers and that, but beyond that, she's really not that interesting, and neither is Goldar, which is a much more fleshed out character in the series, and even in the last movie. One of the things that does kind of hurt the movie is it's an origin story, so there's moments when it slows down, and it kind of seems to slow down a bit too much, but it being an origin story, I think it gets a pass, because it struggles with the same kind of problem Doctor Strange had. It just took too long in some parts, and especially when you have to develop 5 interesting characters to carry the movie, I think it gets the pass. And I'm sure that is something we won't see in the next movie. There might be a new character, and stick through the mid-credits to see why I say that, especially if you already know Power Rangers lore, like, you know that something's coming up in the next movie, or in one of the next movies, because Saban just announced that this is one out of a 6-part movie, like 6-part storyline. If you grew up watching the series, I really think you should check it out. You'll have a great time. Even if you haven't seen any of the show, like, the movie doesn't expect you to know anything about it. So if you're brand new to the series in general, I think this is a great place to pick up. And it's especially a lot less corny than the actual show. It's more of a, I don't want to say like a Marvel DC kind of superhero movie, but it's definitely a superhero movie, and it's just characters wanting to do the right thing and protect their home. And to prepare for this movie, earlier this week I saw the original Power Rangers movie from 1995, and you can check out my review right here. It's almost a half hour long, but I go really in depth about it, and honestly I think it was just hilarious watching something try so hard, but at the same time it's something I knew that I loved growing up. So if you're thinking about checking out the movie this weekend, make sure you do so. And if you want to keep seeing more content like this, more movie reviews, Blu-ray Tuesdays, and sometimes video game stuff, make sure to subscribe right here. And if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And until next time, have a good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. Bye.